Hey Corina, I'm Carrie Fox. I haven't met you yet. I've seen you in our Zoom meetings in the um, multicultural counseling and college and career readiness curriculum class. I know I've kind of seen your name here and there, so it's nice to finally meet you. Um, I'm gonna kind of probably do like response videos. When we first started this, I was not excited about making these videos. It's hard to watch myself, and my eyes don't meet where they're supposed to. It's very annoying. Um, and the uploading part, the technology part has been kind of frustrating with it. But once, Aaron, I think it was Aaron Kim, during the summer, I was like, look, this is taking up way too much storage space in Canvas. What do I need to do? And she's like, just post the YouTube link. So that's what I've done so far, is post that YouTube link. So it's much less of a headache there. So, but these, the videos have been pretty beneficial. Typing these responses it's hard. My ADD brain does not want to focus and finding the right words, and I want to sound super professional and super competent and intelligent, that I get overwhelmed with things like that. And so I think this is the videos, are kind of great for that. So I'm glad she's still letting us do the videos, as weird as it is. So I really kind of connected with you in your response about the gender and sex, those statements. That has been not a difficult, but it's challenging, because it is very different from, how I grew up. Sex and gender were the same, um, and so saying it out loud is just a little awkward. But it's a big change. So I'm gonna roll with it. That's kind of one thing I've learned. I guess I learned very early on was adapt, go with change. And it's a little to the fault because I do it a little too much. But that's middle child in a divorced family, so kind of always in the middle of the moderator and going with the flow to not rock the boat. So that's definitely me. That's definitely me at work too. So, I kind of, I connected with you on that because that is challenging, especially when it does conflict with your own political or view, well, not even political views, but your religious beliefs and, your family beliefs and cultural beliefs. It is very different. I think, I shared in my my paragraph was, just the response from that. For a long time, I thought and I think it just never came up at church, and it never, or maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I didn't see necessarily a problem with it, mostly because no one was doing anybody any harm. It's their life. That's their relationship, and with God. I'm not their maker. I'm not their judge. So go on and do you. And so that's just, I'm in that middle ground again. Like, go do you, boo. But that's kind of the hard part. I guess the challenging part that's going to be about being a counselor is you're going to have kids that really do need acceptance in their life because no one else really is. And how do you do that when, for your entire life, this is what you believed, and that this has been one of your convictions, and it really does challenge that. And so that is something I think about often of, how am I going to approach this as a school counselor? So, but that is something I kind of connected with you on, was just that conflict, that internal conflict you have with just those issues. So, and then what else was I going to say? Oh, you talked about the cultural backgrounds that you've been exposed to. My hometown, I'm originally from the Hill Country, so not far from San Antonio. And so it was mostly white, predominantly white, Hispanic, and then there were a few other cultures there too. And even growing, and this is why it's so weird, like, even though there's really mostly two ethnicities that are in my hometown, we had other ethnicities. And I was friends with people of all different races and ethnicities. So to me, for people, the hard part for me in the last, I don't know, 10 years of life was the political and social upheaval, for lack of a better word, that has taken place in our country and across the world. For people, they're just people are just having such big disagreements, and I'm sitting here going, one of my closest friends was originally born in India, and her family immigrated when she was 2. And I grew up with this girl from junior high, and her parents stereotypically owned a hotel in my hometown, but we were really close. And I remember my AP Government and Economics class. I was sitting there, we were talking, I said, holy cow. And she's Hindu. And I said, holy cow. And he stood there and he was like, do you realize what you just said? And we both looked at each other like, what are you talking about? Like, I said, holy cow. And she was looking at me like, I don't know what you did. And we both looked at each other. I said, holy cow. And he goes, do you realize what you said? I mean, she's sitting right there. And we got to looking at each other and thinking, I was like, she says it all the time. And so it's things like that where I'm like, people are losing their minds. They're so bent out of shape with certain things. And I'm like, y'all, we're all human beings. We all have very different backgrounds. I think everybody just needs some little compassion and some understanding, and people need to take a chill pill. So, but like you, I was more exposed to different cultural backgrounds once I got into college. And I started out in college for kinesiology, specifically sports medicine. And so, I got to work with athletes from different ethnic backgrounds. And so, and I really, it's not even just that, but the cultural backgrounds too. As weird as it is, I grew up in a small podunk town in central Texas where just people that lived in the city. It was very different, just them talking and what they were exposed to or what they got to experience living in the city. I didn't know a lot of stuff that they did. I didn't know a lot of things were out there. And so it was eye-opening. And it piqued my curiosity more in some ways. And so, I can connect with you there on that. And so, and I do find it interesting how, even you said that, sorry, I'm looking at your response in the other screen. But you said it's interesting because the people I met that also identified as Hispanic were almost as different than me as the people who didn't. And I think for me, that kind of hit home, and that's kind of how I feel, even though I'm a white American woman. I still feel very different, even though a white American woman. You would think that we all stereotypically are, very similar, but really we're not. And a lot of the people that, even my family, and a lot of my friends, we're still very different. And so, what I would see as, growing up and what I experienced, they didn't. And so, it's a very unique thing. It's all just weird. It's all strange. And, like I said before, we all just need a little compassion and understanding, and just to go into things knowing I don't know this person, and I need to get to know them before I make my judgments. And I've had to relearn that in the last 4 years too, coming back to work after taking a couple of years off. So, but I really like what you said in your response there, and I look forward to getting to know you a little bit more here. So, bye.